Muammar Gaddafi is one of the most controversial and ambitious politicians in the history of the Arab world. Over the years of his rule, the Libyan leader has made peace and quarrels with almost every nation on the planet, and failed in several ambitious projects, and then tragically died at the hands of rebels. More than 10 years have passed since his assassination, but historians and journalists still haven't who was behind the brutal massacre Gaddafi. So who benefited from the death of the Libyan leader? Why was he hated in Europe and the USA? And who was Gaddafi really? A bloody dictator or a fiery patriot? Subscribe to the UPTRUE channel and click the bell. Muammar Gaddafi was born in a Bedouin tent in a desert near the city of Sirte in western Libya. His parents, members of a small tribe of Kadafa tribe, were illiterate and kept no records of their children. Therefore the date of birth of the politician is not known. Officially it is June 7, 1939. Muammar went to school at the age of 9, but following his nomadic father, he was forced to change one school after another. At that time, Libya was one of the poorest countries in Africa. Its territories had been ruled for decades European colonizer, first Italy, and after World War II, France and Great Britain. Libya formally gained independence in 1951. The state was led by a British appointee, King Idris al-Senussi. In exchange for cash payments he granted Great Britain the right to use Libyan ports and airfields for military purposes, and the French and Americans to retain military bases located in the kingdom. The United States in turn has turned its attention to Libya's greatest treasure, oil. U.S. companies have begun to exploit the local oil fields, generously sharing their profits with King Idris. Meanwhile, ordinary Libyans continued to live in poverty. This hurt the young Gaddafi greatly. While still in school, his idol was the Egyptian president Gamal Abdel Nasser. He came to power in a military coup and had consistently advocated for Arab nationalism. Inspired by Nasser's idea, Gaddafi organized demonstrations in Libya and distributed posters critical of the monarchy. During an action in the city of Siba, Gaddafi was even arrested, but the young revolutionary moved to Misrata and continued his opposition activities. In 1965 Gaddafi graduated from the Royal Military Academy with the rank of lieutenant. Among the cadets and young officers there was a strong revolutionary sentiment, fueled by the example of neighboring Egypt and Algeria. Muammar took advantage of the situation and gathered a group of like-minded men around him, dissatisfied with the policies of King Idris. The association later came to be known as the Free Officers, after a similar movement by Nasser. The underground had been preparing an uprising against the monarch for about 5 years. All that time, the Libyan intelligence services remained unaware of the plot. Finally, in the summer of 1969, taking advantage of the departure of King Idris for medical treatment, the revolutionaries seized the royal palace, the radio center and government offices. On September 1 Libya was proclaimed republic. After the coup, the country was declared Libyan Arab Republic, and its supreme body became Revolutionary Command Council. The new regime promoted the 27-year-old Gaddafi the rank of colonel and appointed him supreme commander armed forces of the country. The young revolutionary headed the council itself, becoming the de facto head of state. The first thing Gaddafi did was to close U.S. military bases and British military bases and evicted 20,000 Italians from the country. 20,000 Italians left there since colonial times. Foreign banks and all Italians' owned land were nationalized. The terms of the oil deals Colonel Gaddafi declared unfair, because American corporations benefited more from them than the Libyans. He set his own prices for natural resources and nationalized the property foreign company. This brought in about $1 billion to Libya's budget in the first year alone after the reforms began. Gaddafi invested the proceeds into social welfare programs. The country began to build schools, hospitals and apartment buildings. Libyans, who under the monarchy lived in Bedouin tents, were drawn to the cities. Under the new government, the period of compulsory schooling from 6 to 9 years, and higher education became free. A special network of stores appeared in the cities for large families with symbolic prices for basic foodstuffs. Special pharmacies dispensed medicines to the needy free of charge. Gasoline became cheaper than water, about 14 cents a liter. By some estimates, by 1979, Libya had overtaken Britain, Italy, and Japan in per capita income. Socialization of the economy and a radical restriction on private business led to record levels of unemployment. The share of agriculture remained minuscule. The country continued to buy food $1.5 billion a year. But the main problem was the unchecked power of Muammar Gaddafi and the violent repression of real or potential opposition. The colonel dealt with political opponents quickly and brutally. In 1978, for example, a Lebanese Shia leader who came to Libya and founder of the Amal movement, Imam Musa al-Sadr. Gaddafi claimed that Sadr had left Libya for Italy. But in Lebanon, it is certain that the colonel ordered Sadr's assassination or put him in a secret prison. To effectively combat dissent, Gaddafi created a secret police force. According to the opposition, between 69 and 94, 343 Libyans died as a result of the crackdown, who opposed the Gaddafi regime. Every year Gaddafi got his hands on more and more political institutions. In 73, he wrote the Green Book, a work in which he laid out his views on the state. The politician suggested that the country should be put in the hands of the Libyan people, but to renounce everything that corrupts the people and promote political controversy. That is, parties, referendums, private media and secular laws. As a result, the Libyan state system was proclaimed the Jamahiriya, the power of the masses. Its essence was an original mixture of Islam, nationalism and leftist anarchism. In 1977, the Libyan Republic got a new name, the Socialist People's Libyan Arab Jamahiriya. Gaddafi disbanded the Revolutionary Command and the government and declared the highest authority, legislative authority, the General People's Congress, and the executive authority of his own Supreme People's Committee formed by him. The colonel himself sort of retired, but retained full power. In this way he got rid of what he considered to be unnecessary of the government. Gaddafi became an unlimited dictator. All power and money passed into the hands of his relatives, friends and fellow tribesmen. Gradually a heavy corrupt structure. The media estimated the Libyan leader's fortune of $200 billion. In fact, this money was in the accounts of state companies and the Libyan government, but according to experts, Gaddafi did not see the difference between his personal assets and the country's resources. The exact number of mansions and villas owned by the colonel scattered around the world is still unknown. Contemporaries noted that Muammar Gaddafi liked to bathe in luxury. He spent a lot of money on clothes, plastic surgery and personal guards, consisting only of virgins. Later on, angry pundits would accuse the politician of systematic rape, including gang rapes. The Libyan colonel's festivities included the world's leading celebrities performed. His private jet was trimmed in silver. And in his palace, even the sofas and fly swatters were cast in solid gold. Moreover, the Libyan leader never traveled to other countries without his famous Bedouin tent. The luxurious tent has been set up in Moscow, Paris, Brussels and Kiev. Live camels also came with him, so that Gaddafi could start every morning with a glass of fresh camel milk. In foreign policy, Gaddafi always remained a supporter of Pan-Arabism. During his 4 decades in power, he repeatedly put forward plans of uniting the Arab countries into a federation or confederation, and signed treaties and agreements, but each time these plans failed because of internal disagreements. The closest to realization was the idea of creating of the Federation of Arab Republics involving Egypt and Syria. Formally, the alliance even existed from 72 to 77, but then fell apart. And Gaddafi gave broad support to national liberation movements in other countries. This greatly complicated relations with world leaders, because most of the groups sponsored by the Gaddafi regime were considered terrorist. According to expert estimates, Libya has aided approximately 30 extremist organizations, such as the Irish Republican Army, the Basque ETA, the Italian Red Brigades, the Japanese Red Army, Germany's Red Army faction, Abu Nidal's Palestinian group. Gaddafi was accused of that the Libyan intelligence services themselves to commit terrorist acts against the citizens of Western countries. So on April 5, 1986, at the Disco La Belle in West Berlin, popular with the American military, there was an explosion. As a result, 200 people were wounded, 3 people were killed. The Libyans were blamed for what happened, after which US President Ronald Reagan ordered the bombing of Libya. Dozens of civilians became victims. In response, on December 21, '88, in the skies over the Scottish town Lockerbie, flying from London to New York, it killed 270 people. Libyan intelligence agencies were also blamed for the attack, and the country has since been hit economic sanctions on the country. Gaddafi's status as a terrorist was cemented for years. In the early 2000s, the leader of the Jamahiriya was forced to make peace with the US and Europe. Under the pressure of sanctions, Libya's oil revenues had fallen to critical levels. Gaddafi took responsibility for the plane crash over Lockerbie and paid huge compensation to the families of the victims. He also admitted that he had spent nearly 3 decades trying to develop weapons of mass destruction. American and British authorities made these accusations back in the 70s, but he stubbornly denied it at the time. Eventually the sanctions were lifted, and relations with the West gradually normalized. In 2011, Libya was hit by the so-called Arab Spring, a series of anti-government protests and demonstrations that swept across the Middle East and North Africa. The protests were sparked by the self-immolation of a Tunisian fruit merchant Mohamed Bouazizi. In protest against police corruption and ill treatment, he poured fuel on himself in the square in front of City Hall. After the success in Tunisia, a wave of unrest hit Algeria, Jordan, Egypt, and Yemen, and then spread to other countries. Following their neighbors, Libyans also took to the streets. They demanded the resignation of the authorities. Gaddafi tried to quell the uprising with tanks, aircraft, and artillery. But the United States sided with the rebels, the Arab League and the European Union. The United Kingdom and France, led by Nicolas Sarkozy, were the most active. In March, the UN Security Council declared a no-fly zone over Libya in March, and also explicitly banned foreign occupation. Ignoring this, Qatar sent hundreds of troops to support the rebels and, along with France and the United Arab Emirates, has provided arms to the rebels. On April 30th, a NATO airstrike in Tripoli killed Gaddafi's 6th son and 3 of his grandchildren. The Libyan leader said he was ready for a truce and called on NATO countries to negotiate. But the International Criminal Court in The Hague has issued a warrant for Gaddafi's arrest, and the rebels have announced a reward of more than $1.5 million for his head. At the end of August, the opposition, with the help of NATO aircraft, occupied Tripoli. Gaddafi was left with only 2 cities, Bani Walid and his hometown of Sirte. Fierce fighting broke out there. On the morning of October 20th, the rebels once again stormed Sirte. Gaddafi tried to break out of the siege. There were rumors that a group of South African mercenaries were about to take him to Niger. When the Jamahiriya loyalist military with large quantities of arms and ammunition were on their way out of the city, they were bombed by NATO planes. Gaddafi was shot in the head and legs. Still alive, he was captured by the rebels. For the next few hours he was brutally and tortured and videotaped. The bleeding colonel was dragged by his legs through the streets of Sirte and sand was thrown on his wounds. And then they put the dead body for all to see in a vegetable cooler in a shopping mall in Misrata. Gaddafi was buried in the Libyan desert. The graves of his close relatives in Sirte were desecrated and destroyed. But why was Gaddafi dealt with in such a brutal manner rather than arresting him and tried before an international court? According to one version, the initiative to kill Gaddafi allegedly came from American bankers. The colonel was trying to transfer the entire Arab and African world to a single currency, backed by gold. The idea was this: the precious metal was exchanged for natural resources. If the gold dinar were introduced, the energy-exporting countries would have benefited greatly, as they would receive up to 20 tons of gold annually. At the same time, the dollar would be displaced from its leading position in the world economy. According to another version, the pretext for the reprisal to the Libyan leader was the enormous of Africa's most precious resource, found in the south of the country in the early 1950s. Muammar Gaddafi decided to divert it to Libya's needs. And so was born the project for the most ambitious irrigation system in the history of mankind. The Great Man-Made River. Its construction was divided into 5 phases, which were to take 25 years. With the help of his enormous pipeline, the politician hoped not only to completely solve the problem of domestic water supply, but also to introduce hundreds of thousands of hectares of land. In his own words, the desert was to become green again, like the flag of the Libyan Jamahiriya at the time. But only 3 phases of the project were completed. According to another version, it wasn't the bankers or the Americans who wanted to destroy Gaddafi, but a very specific politician. French President Nicolas Sarkozy. He was accused of receiving money from the Libyan dictator for his election campaign in 2007. The French leader allegedly dreamed of to bury his dirty secrets with Gaddafi. Sarkozy himself denied the allegations, and there's no direct evidence that the Libyan money to the future president of France was never found. Nevertheless, in 2021 the court sentenced Sarkozy to a year in prison and 2 suspended sentences on charges of corruption, abuse of influence and violation of investigative secrecy. And then he was added another year for exceeding the spending limit on the campaign trail. Later, French President Emmanuel Macron called the country's involvement in the invasion of Libya and condemned everything that had been done to that country. According to another version, Gaddafi's assassination was the result of a conspiracy Western intelligence agencies. And the reason was the colonel's desire to acquire a nuclear arsenal. One way or another, the revolution, the intervention of Western countries and the destruction of Gaddafi had the most devastating consequences for the Libyan state, its people and its economy. Libya has become a staging ground for representatives of international crime, a center of illegal migration and arms smuggling.